Hello everyone, I'm here today with a new process video. I am working on a 6x8 album here. You can see this one, it's from Life Crafted. That's what it looks like over here. The color is called Pumpkin Spice, and I chose this because this is going to be my album for New York City from November of 2024, and I feel like this is a fitting color for November. There were lots of yellows, golds, browns happening. It was early November, so it's not like it was later in the month or anything, but there were still those colors happening in addition to like most of the trees still being green that we saw like in Central Park and stuff. A lot of those were green still, but I feel like this color's fitting with a lot of the photos that I have, so I think that'll be cool. So I have that. With that said, while a lot of the layouts will probably end up being 6x8, the opening page will not. I'm going to move this out of the way. My opening page is actually going to be a 4x8 insert. And it's really because of what I need to go on the back side. I wanted that photo printed 4x8, so I needed it to be this size. And I have pulled this. I have many a thing pinned on my Pinterest boards for scrapping, and I don't look at them nearly as much as I should. So I thought I'm going to go in there and look at those travel ideas that I've saved, and lo and behold, this one was in there. And I think I want to mimic this page over here for my opener, because this is easy. I know I have this card. It's a 3x4 card. I know I could make that work with this. I can kind of do the 1 inch over here with something. I do have lots of New York stamps, and some of them have wording like all the boroughs and stuff in the back. So I could certainly do that if I want. I do have a stash of cards already that are all New York themed. I have them in my New York bin ready to go. So I have those. The other thing is I want to use this. I have this wood veneer piece that just says November from Ellie's Studio. And so I think I kind of want this, but instead of just having this is so blank, I think I would somehow like try to overlap this and then put my dates down here. Or if this is at the top, they can go below it. However, but that's what I'm starting with. We'll see if the idea actually pans out, but at least I've got my cards here at the ready. I've got this piece, and then I can get started. So I have pulled out my stamp here that I will probably end up using, because this is where I have the one that has all the boroughs, and I think I would just have to stack it kind of at least twice, maybe 2.5 times. I don't know. I'll have to check that against the card. And then I thought that maybe I would use this card because it actually has streets that are in Manhattan. I think it would be way too busy. I like the idea of this where it's a fairly solid card, maybe a little wording, but not a bunch, and then all the phrases over there. So I think that one is not going to work. But I really liked the color of it too. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll stick to that bluish, and I think that would look fine. So let's see, let's do this. One about here, 2. Yeah, I'd have to almost do 3 passes with the stamps here, but that's fine. I would also have to cut off a little bit, which is fine. I've got dead space on either side to get all those in, but that's totally cool. I like this color, but I'm a little worried it might be too dark with this because I do want to use black ink for this. And then I do actually have this card printed, this yellow one. This says New York State of Mind, but I know I've used it in at least 2 New York albums already. I've used this one too, but I think it's been longer since I've used this one. I love that it's still yellow, and I love what it says, New York City. This city has my heart. And I could stamp this over here, and I could kind of cheat a little bit and actually use this idea and put a heart over that section, given what it says. I mean, come on. That seems pretty cool to me. So I think that's what I'm going to go with. It's probably going to be this card. I'll trim it down a little. I'm going to stamp and then find a heart embellishment for that. And then I can't use this. I left it sitting here like just in case. It's too big with all of this. That's fine. I can use it on another page. This is going to be a big album, so it'll find a home. But then once I do this, I do either want maybe right in the middle or up top or somewhere. I need to have the dates. I do want that on there somewhere, but at least this gives me something to start with here. Then I just have to figure out, do I want an all white background, or do I want like maybe a gray, very, very light gray that might offset that nicely? Well, I didn't like any of the gray options, and plain white felt weird. Then I remembered I have this paper. It's some kind of a specialty paper. It's not exactly like mulberry, but it's some kind of like a fiber paper. And I remember I got it at a card making shop. They sold scrap stuff too, but mainly cards. And they had used this as background on some of the stuff. And I really liked all the speckles and stuff. So I'm thinking I might cut this down. And then this will sit like this. And I'll do that. And that way, at least there's something happening around it that has a little bit more color. But I could still embellish with like black and white if I'm just going to stamp my date or use letters or you know, whatever I decide to do. But I do think I'm going to cut this down to a 4x8 and use that as my background. All right, I have trimmed off quite a bit. It is now down to just barely over 2.5 inches wide here. But when I place this up here, it looks like there's barely just enough room for Staten Island to fit. So next step is stamping, and it makes me nervous because I've never stamped like directly on this that I remember, so I don't know how it's going to work. I feel like I probably need to use my StazOn, not just my Memento. StazOn is a little thicker, a little bit sturdier ink, if you will. So I think I need to try that. And then I think I'm going to just flip this over and kind of use this as reference. Put some washi down that's easily removable and then stamp this just so I know that my placement is good. All right, I did a test stamp here just on this scrap I had. It came out just fine, so that looks good, at least on regular cardstock. We'll see about this. I've got my StazOn here ready. I've put my washi down to hold this in place, and now I just have to be really, really careful with how I stamp. And man, if I screw this up, you might hear me cry. Look at that. I've got 2 already. I'm on my last one. Is that going to fit in there? Yes, like perfectly. So now I know I can use ink on here. I will say though, watch what happens. When you lift up, it's quite sticky on this paper, but at least I know I can do it. So I have discovered, this looks great over here, but I have discovered this ink will transfer very easily. I got some down here just by touching it. And then there's a tiny smudge there and there's some smudges there. But you know what? New York is gritty too, and it's not perfect. So I think I'm just going to leave it. And then if I smudge on something else, it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. I think I am just going to like wash off my hands really quickly though to make sure I don't transfer anything else. But otherwise, then I'm ready to adhere this. All right, I have that all attached. So now I'm looking for my heart embellishment that's going to go over here. And I can see some yellow in my acrylics already. I have this little thing right here I can see, and I can see some yellow, other ones like poking through. Ooh, there's a stripy one. So I'm just going to open these up. I really would love to find a flat one as opposed to using acrylics because this album's going to be big enough as it is. But I think I'm just going to dump these out and see what I find and play around with them a little bit. And hopefully I find something that I love. I didn't find just one heart that was either the right yellow or the right size. I mean, like this is super cute, but it's way too huge. So I think I'm actually going to do 2 hearts in different sizes. I have this little banner thing. I think I'm actually going to cut around that and put it over here somewhere. And then I have this little yellow one and like do it like that maybe. Something like that. And I like that they're not quite the same color, but nothing else really grabbed me that looked right. And obviously these are more the right size, but I really want to avoid using the thicker acrylic. So I think it's going to be these 2. All right, so I have those on there, and I found in that same bag of hearts this one, which I freaking love. I love that it's black and white. So I think I want to put that up there to kind of help fill up some of that space. But that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to leave it, you know, similar to this. There's nothing at the top or bottom. So I'll leave that blank. And then down here, I think is where I'm going to do my date. I have this label. It's already been cut for something else. I can put it down here. It adds visual interest all in the center, but then there's nothing else down here again. So I think that'll be okay. And then I just have to decide, do I want to just write it on here or do I want to use my date stamper? I decided to do my date roller stamp, so I did that. Now I just need to cut off what I'm not using here. And then I will put in a little staple. And then I want to do a little puffy heart over here so that I have a visual triangle of hearts. So I have to go into my stuff. I know I have them, but then I'm wondering, like, should I do yellow? Should I do black? Should I do one of each? Or is the net going to fill up this too much? I'm not sure. I feel like I could also leave it like this, but I just don't like not having the visual triangle. All right, so in this set, I have both yellow and black. So I can pick what I want there in the sizes. Maybe a smaller yellow one and then a slightly larger black one, or just one or the other. I'm not sure, but I will play around with it. All right, so I messed around with some of the yellow and black. Even this one here, this white and yellow striped one, I didn't like any of it the way it looked. So I've decided I'm just going to leave it like this. So here it is. My opening page for New York is finished. Thanks for watching.